Support for the Local Government News Roundup comes from Rath Engineering Development, smarter systems for local government, like Red GMS, helping councils manage gravel pits and projects, track quality, test results, blending options and haulage, and know the true cost per tonne from day one. Rath Engineering Development can give you a one-off report that uses your existing pit data to pinpoint the best gravel sources for your next resheeting program or disaster restoration works, saving your council time and money. For local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience, talk to the team at Rath Engineering Development. Head to rathed.com.au to find out more. Coming up, a landslide win for Newcastle's new Lord Mayor. Councillors plan a motion of no confidence in Wyndham's mayor. A $3 billion election call from a group of regional councils. A mayor calls for a lowering of the political temperature after a family car is firebombed. A councillor sensationally resigns, branding her colleagues as dysfunctional. A last-minute settlement of an unfair dismissal claim in Tasmania. And a deepfake detection pilot ahead of local elections in England. All of that and much more ahead on Australia's #1 local government podcast, the Local Government News Roundup. And this week, the Roundup Flashback machine takes us back 12 months to see what was making news this time last year. Hello, I'm Chris Eddy, back with more news from and about councils across Australia and beyond. Brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government. And we receive support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. And Rath Engineering Development, smarter local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience. Thanks for joining us wherever you're listening across Australia or around the world. It's Monday the 20th of April and here's our top 3 stories. Newcastle has chosen a new Lord Mayor, with independent Gavin Morris winning in a landslide, according to the Newcastle Herald. Morris, a former NBN News presenter, told supporters the result isn't about one person, it's about the city and the volunteers behind the campaign. Early counting had him on around half the vote, well ahead of Greens candidate Charlotte McCabe and Labor's Declan Clawson. Councillor Clawson called Morris to concede, and Mr Morris says he's looking forward to working with all councillors. For voters, his first message was a simple thank you and a promise of what he called a whole new future for Newcastle. To Sydney's southwest, where Labor is claiming victory in the Liverpool City Council by-election after Liberal candidate Azam Debag conceded defeat, according to news.com.au. The vote was triggered by the resignation of Labor councillor Betty Green, and thousands turned out in the South Ward on Saturday. Early figures show Labor's Zeli Munjiza leading by more than 6,000 votes, with nearly 50,000 ballots counted. Debag posted online saying he'd called Munjiza to congratulate her. Counting continues this week. And 3 Wyndham City councillors have called an unscheduled council meeting for Monday the 27th of April to consider a motion of no confidence in Mayor Councillor Preet Singh. Councillor Singh is still refusing to resign, despite calls from his fellow councillors, many community members and the former local government minister Nick Stakos. It follows revelations that Councillor Singh provided a character reference to a person ultimately convicted of child sex offences in 2024, prior to Councillor Singh being elected to the council. Councillors Robert Zatkowski, Peter Maynard and Susan McIntyre have joined together to call the meeting under the council's governance rules. In a statement, Councillor Zatkowski said it was not a step being taken lightly and that it was disappointing that the matter had reached this point. Even if the council passes the no-confidence motion, it cannot force Councillor Singh to resign the mayoralty. And that's your top 3 for Monday 20th of April on the Local Government News Roundup. Let's look at more news out of Victoria. Regional Cities Victoria is calling for a $1 billion regional fund and a $2 billion roads package, arguing population growth is outpacing infrastructure. A roads roundtable in Geelong brought together freight, farming, tourism and local government groups to back the push. Warrnambool Mayor Councillor Ben Blaine says potholes and ageing assets are risking lives and undermining the industries that rely on reliable transport. In the northeast, Wangaratta Mayor Irene Grant says local roads are vital links to jobs, schools and healthcare, and many of the most complained about roads are state managed. The council is backing the funding push for regional Victoria ahead of this year's state election and is also seeking support for projects like a cycling trail expansion, a new creative precinct and aerodrome runway resealing. Greater Geelong Council has decided to close all 4 creche services at its swim, sport and leisure centres from the 1st of May. The Geelong Independent reports that new childcare regulations have made the services more complex and expensive to run, with staffing requirements that don't change even when attendance is low. The council's Executive Director of City Life, Anthony Basford, says the decision wasn't taken lightly and other childcare options have become more accessible. Families will get 3 months free access to pools and programs, and staff will be offered other roles. Moorabool Shire residents have dodged a new fee after debate in the chamber last week. In a 6-3 vote, councillors officially rejected the introduction of a municipal charge to the local rating system. While supporters argued the flat fee would make rates fairer for farmers, the move was ultimately defeated after a recent community survey showed overwhelming public opposition. In a separate split decision, the council also voted to pull $428,000 from the landfill reserve to fund the state-mandated green waste bin rollout. In Campaspe Shire, the council is warning its waste services are being squeezed by fuel prices and inflation, and it's proposing a rise in curbside bin fees next financial year. The draft 26-27 fees schedule includes a 9.6% lift to curbside waste charges, plus temporary increases for tip gate fees and quarry services while the fuel crunch continues. Mayor Councillor Daniel Mackerel says more than half the waste budget is locked into contracts linked to fuel and CPI, and the council can't absorb the full hit. Now, there's continuing coverage on the state's push for a 4th household bin just for glass. The Guardian has reported on a campaign by a coalition of 35 councils for a rethink. It's urging the government to pause the mid-2027 deadline, arguing the extra collection trucks and the cost could end up on rates without much benefit. Manningham Mayor Jim Grievous says councils support better glass recycling, but they want more options, including expanding Victoria's container deposit scheme. Waste experts say separating glass can cut contamination, but deposit schemes return cleaner material. A Herald Sun report on the same issue estimates that the 4-bin rollout could cost households as much as $150 extra per year. From 9 News, a report on claims that a proposal to cut rubbish collection frequency in Marybeck is dividing that community. The council is considering cutting red lid rubbish collection from weekly to fortnightly from July next year. A 6-month trial in parts of Hadfield and Brunswick reduced landfill waste by nearly 20%. And the council says it could save more than $1 million. But residents are split, with warnings of overflowing and smelly bins, especially for families with nappies. The council says it would issue larger red bins and offer concessions for households with extra waste needs. A final decision is due in June. And The Age reports on a new council-backed data set that's challenging claims local governments are holding up housing. The MAV says thousands of homes have been approved, but many still haven't been constructed, pointing instead to weak market conditions and developers sitting on land. A report highlights areas like Maribyrnong, where just 9 of more than 1,100 approved dwellings were completed over 18 months. And Port Phillip Mayor Councillor Alex Makin says the state should look in the mirror before blaming councils as the government ramps up its election pitch of builders versus blockers. In other news, Murrindindi Shire is extending its free firewood program to support residents and renters recovering from the January bushfires. Following a successful initial rollout for those most directly impacted, Mayor Damien Gallagher confirmed the initiative will continue on a staged basis to help manage supplies safely. Greater Shepparton City Council has secured 2 rounds of the UCI BMX Racing World Cup in February 2028, just months before the LA Olympics. The Victorian Government and Oz Cycling say the event will bring the world's best riders to the upgraded Shepparton BMX track and inject visitors and spending into the Goulburn Valley. And Hume City Council is asking residents and local groups to join a new push for investment as the city's population surges. The council has launched an advocacy framework mapping priority projects to 2030, focused on transport, infrastructure, safety and livability. And it wants the community's stories to strengthen its case. It's the Local Government News Roundup for Monday the 20th of April 2026, and each week the Roundup Flashback machine takes us back through past episodes to see what was making news in years gone by. This week it takes us back 12 months to a very busy April 2025. The announcement of a commission of inquiry into serious issues of governance and health and safety concerns at Whittlesea City Council. Minister for Local Government Nick Stakos announced the inquiry, along with the immediate suspension of Mayor Aidan McClendon for a 6-month period. At the City of Kingston, Councillor Jane Agatan has been stood down from her role as a councillor under Section 229 of the Local Government Act. Carol Jeffs, the CEO of Cardinia Shire Council, has announced her resignation after nearly 7 years at the helm. Jason Breton has been appointed as Liverpool City Council's CEO following a unanimous council vote. In South Australia, 4 Adelaide City councillors have been removed from their positions after a judge declared the 2022 Central Ward election result was void due to illegal practices. It was certainly all happening last year. That's our look back at stories making news 12 months ago on the Local Government News Roundup, thanks to the Roundup Flashback machine. More news from years gone by next week when the Roundup Flashback machine returns. But now let's bring it on back to April 2026. And more New South Wales news for you now. A car belonging to the partner of a Western Sydney mayor has been destroyed in an early morning firebombing, with 2 nearby vehicles also damaged. Police were called to a Maryland street just after 3 a.m. on Saturday and found a Mercedes fully alight outside the home of Cumberland Council Mayor Ola Hamed. Councillor Hamed told the Daily Telegraph that she was shocked by the incident, unsure if it was because I am a woman or because I'm a Muslim, or potentially a case of mistaken identity. She's called for the temperature to be lowered in political debate. A crime scene has been set up and the vehicle taken for forensic examination. Police say an investigation is underway to find those responsible and to determine if it was politically or racially motivated. Waverley Council is moving to host a national summit on social cohesion and anti-Semitism in the lead up to the first anniversary of the Bondi Beach terror attack. Mayor Will Namesh will ask councillors to back the plan at this week's meeting, partnering with the New South Wales and Commonwealth governments. The conference, convened by the Combat Anti-Semitism Movement, is slated for November 26 and 27 in Bondi, bringing mayors, councillors and community leaders together to share practical strategies that councils can use locally. Glen Innes Severn Council says a joint police and health operation has sent a message to illegal tobacco and vaping sellers. Mayor Margot Davis has welcomed raids by New England Police and New South Wales Health, with about $84,000 worth of illicit products seized. 3 businesses in Armidale and Glen Innes were issued 3-month closure notices under New South Wales tobacco laws. Snowy Monaro Regional Council is taking direct control of long-delayed upgrade works at the Bombala and Cooma pools after voting to terminate its contract with the principal contractor. The council says it wants work back underway as soon as possible, with around 4 months of construction still needed at each site. In Wenjakarabie, the mayor is pushing back against claims the council is planning a 70% rates hike. Mayor Jessie Fitzpatrick says general rates for next year will rise by the IPART rate peg, 3.3%. But the statement flags higher proposed water and sewer charges, including a 15% access charge, a 26% rise in water usage and an 8.5% lift for sewer to recover rising costs and fund renewals. Councillor Fitzpatrick says any move to seek rates above the peg would come to the council in June. In Griffith, a push for tougher rules on barking dogs and crowing roosters has been voted down at council, according to Region Riverina. Councillor Mark Dalbon told the meeting residents are losing sleep and want animal noise treated like any other late-night disturbance. But Mayor Doug Curran said council cannot expand its powers and enforcement is hard without staff hearing the noise firsthand. The council says people should start with a friendly chat with neighbours. Only one other councillor backed Councillor Dalbon's motion. A former Central Coast Council building will be converted into student accommodation in partnership with the University of Newcastle. Mayor Laurie McKenna says the plan will deliver studio and shared apartments alongside student services, study spaces and event areas, helping attract students from Australia and overseas. He says more people living and studying in the CBD should lift local businesses and support a stronger nighttime economy. Also making news, Murrumbidgee Council says it's moving to take over management of Coleambally Preschool after the Services Association Committee asked for help. The council has signed an MOU and says the handover should be finalised in May, pending regulatory approval. Campbell Construction Proprietary Limited has been awarded a contract by Clarence Valley Council to repair the Grafton Library roof following extensive storm damage sustained last August. The insurance-funded project will restore the building's structural integrity and critical systems. And Wallara Council has added a major new name to its historical plaque scheme. It's unveiled its 52nd marker outside the Bellevue home once lived in by former Prime Minister William McMahon. He led Australia from 1971 to 1972 after 2 decades in senior cabinet roles. The council is also inviting residents to nominate future honorees. You're listening to the Local Government News Roundup, brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association. Lots of interest in this week's episode of VLGA Connect, which you can watch now on YouTube or add to your podcast queue. Tony Rounick from Hunt & Hunt Lawyers was one of my guests, talking about 2 significant legal rulings for the local government sector. Check that out now. And thanks to Symphony 3 for their support for the podcast, bringing you simple, connected customer experiences and rolling out lots of emergency dashboards right across the country at the moment. And a plug for Rath Engineering Development, great supporters of the podcast. They've built our brand new website at lgnewsroundup.com. I'd love you to take a moment to check it out. You'll find lots of resources there, including our very popular listings of mayors and CEOs. We're building that up as time permits. Check out also our weekly poll. I'd love to know if your council has reconsidered its attendance at this year's National General Assembly due to the fuel crisis. You'll find the weekly poll there on the front page of the website. Head to lgnewsroundup.com. More news from around the country. In Queensland, Central Highlands residents will soon be choosing a new councillor after the resignation of Gai Cypher, who has accused the council of being dysfunctional. The Morning Bulletin reported that Ms Cypher accused councillors of driving personal agendas, and she said she could not work productively alongside 5 of the elected members. Ms Cypher served on the council since 2012. A by-election has been set for Saturday, May 16. Brisbane City Council has signed a new sister city partnership with Los Angeles as it gears up for the 2032 Olympic and Paralympic Games. Lord Mayor Adrian Schrinner said working with the next host city will help Brisbane learn what it takes to deliver a lasting legacy, from transport and planning to tourism and innovation. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass says the deal also strengthens global ties and points to shared work on sustainability, housing and economic development. The 2 leaders have signed a letter of intent with a formal agreement to follow. In southwest Queensland, 6 councils say they may have to become insurers themselves after some flood-prone towns saw premiums jump by as much as 500%. The Southwest Regional Organisation of Councils, led by Balonne Mayor and Chair Samantha O'Toole, is working on a community insurance mutual designed to spread risk and offer more affordable cover for locals and small businesses. According to ABC News, residents in St George say quotes can run from $23,000 to more than $60,000 a year. Whitsunday Coast Airport is proving just how quickly the region is growing, with new figures showing the strongest year-on-year passenger jump of any Australian airport in November. The airport's numbers were up 14.6%, well ahead of the national average of 1.9%. Whitsunday Regional Council Mayor Ry Collins says the lift reflects both tourism demand and the airport's role as a gateway for workers travelling to and from Bowen Basin mining operations. A local caravan park in Einsvold is set to close from this week as North Burnett Regional Council steps back from running caravan parks. The council says it resigned as trustee of the site last year and will auction on-site assets in early May. It says there are no permanent residents affected. And in Moreton Bay, researchers are digging into a fault that may have shifted the landscape thousands of years ago. The city has funded a joint study to map evidence of a powerful ancient quake by analysing buried sediments and the shape of the ground. The team will use the data to better understand where stress builds in the earth and what that could mean for local infrastructure and emergency planning. In Tasmania, West Coast Council has reached a last-minute settlement with former planning manager Alison Shea over an unfair dismissal claim. According to the advocate, Ms Shea described the payout as a total declaration of her innocence, claiming her suspension was retaliation for a formal complaint filed against the General Manager. While the settlement amount remains undisclosed, Council General Manager Scott Riley expressed disappointment over the public comments, citing a non-disparagement agreement and defending the Council's recent staff turnover as normal for the region. And in Geraldton, a former WA Nationals MP says the city of Greater Geraldton has given a kind of tacit endorsement to an evangelical festival by approving it on public land. Paul Brown says flyers for the free Revive Festival, run by Potter's House, invite people to experience Your Miracle, with claims of healing asthma, arthritis and deafness. A complaint has reportedly been made to Consumer Protection WA, according to WA Today. Potter's House says the language reflects Christian belief, offers no commercial guarantee and rejects claims it targets vulnerable people. And the council says the event has met its usual approval process. It's time to go global. News today from the US and New Zealand, but first up the UK, with a digital crackdown on election interference, high stakes for the nation's roads budgets, and a rare victory for local high streets. With less than 3 weeks until the May local elections, the Electoral Commission has officially launched a first-of-its-kind deepfake detection pilot. The scheme is monitoring online platforms for AI-generated audio and video designed to mislead voters. It comes as new data suggests this year's ballots will be some of the most crowded in decades, with an average of 5 candidates vying for every seat. The Department of Transport is putting councils on notice over the state of their roads. Under a new traffic light rating system, 13 red-rated authorities have been warned they could lose up to a third of their maintenance funding if they fail to improve pothole repairs. While these struggling councils will receive £300,000 in expert planning support, ministers say the dark days of blank cheque road funding are over. The Local Government Association has confirmed Jenny Rowlands as its new interim chief executive. The former Camden boss takes the helm at a pivotal moment as the organisation navigates a major internal transformation alongside the upcoming election cycle. And a community milestone in Nottingham. After years of redevelopment, the Sherwood Library officially reopened its doors on the weekend. The site is being hailed as a flagship for modern urban renewal, featuring sustainable design and new digital hubs. It coincides with the city's plans to expand its pioneering low-carbon district heating network through new private partnerships. To the US now, and we're going from the Big Apple to the Big Easy. In New York City first, Mayor Zoran Mamdani made a dramatic statement this past Thursday, revoking every executive order signed by former Mayor Eric Adams following his federal indictment last September. According to CNN, Mamdani framed the move as a restoration of city integrity. Though the clean slate comes with a catch, the mayor immediately reinstated nearly half of those policies to bridge a daunting $5 billion budget gap. Down south, New Orleans Mayor Helena Marino is finding success with a do more with less strategy. The city has unveiled a new overtime monitoring dashboard that has successfully stabilised city finances without slashing essential services, a benchmark mid-sized cities across the US are watching very closely. In other news, a cohort of US mayors has wrapped up the Medal of Honor Institute in Arlington, Texas, where they came together to focus on crisis leadership. And the City Council in Palm Coast, Florida, is fast-tracking housing with a new vertical development incentive program. encouraging new multi-storey projects to tackle local shortages before key redevelopment deadlines expire. And to New Zealand finally, Selwyn District Council has scrapped plans for a dedicated emergency operations centre in Rolleston due to rising costs and funding constraints. According to reporting by RNZ, the project's budget had ballooned from an initial $1.8 million to over $5 million, leading councillors to vote against the proposal. Instead of a purpose-built hub, the council will continue to manage emergency responses from its existing headquarters. Hundreds of residents in the Southland region have been issued red warnings as the council-run waste net service cracks down on contaminated recycling bins. RNZ reports that over 400 households in the Southland, Invercargill and Gore district areas received the notices after inspectors found non-recyclable items, such as nappies and soft plastics, in yellow wheelie bins. Repeat offenders face having their bin collection services suspended as high contamination rates drive up processing costs for the entire community. And in Ashburton, councillors are warning the district's annual plan may need a rethink as costs keep rising. At a Three Waters committee meeting, officials revealed bigger than expected overspends, including a possible $1 million over budget for drinking water by year's end. According to the press, Chief Executive Hamish Riach says the council is weighing whether to reopen the draft plan, especially after the fuel crisis pushed prices up across council services. And we've reached the end of our Monday edition of the Local Government News Roundup, recorded on the 20th of April 2026 and brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences, and Rath Engineering Development, smarter local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience. If you have comments or feedback or story ideas, you can email me at chris@lgnewsroundup.com. And head to lgnewsroundup.com for more information about this episode, including all the story links. The podcast is recorded in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. We come your way 3 times a week. Until next time, thanks for listening, and bye for now. Support for the Roundup comes from Symphony 3, allowing councils to connect their systems securely, to automate their data flows and to monitor performance in real time. And right now, councils are lining up for their own emergency dashboard, like the one that Symphony 3 has created for the city of Greater Bendigo. The dashboard helps keep the community safe and prepared before, during and after emergencies. It pulls together live data, including weather data, traffic data, emergency incidents, unplanned and planned disruptions, news and social media feeds. Visit www.symphony3.com to learn how you can get an emergency dashboard for your community.